Hi everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Shreyasi, I'm an architect and a researcher, and today I will show you how I organize my research and literature in Zotero. So let's get down to it. Um, just so you know, this is not an introduction to Zotero. I expect you to be sort of familiar with the platform. If not, you can tell me down in the comments, and I will do an introductory video on how I use personally Zotero. So let's just get down to it. Mm. Hi. So yeah, basically I use Zotero in a lot of research projects. I've been using it for quite some time now, right from my dissertation. So I just first of all I serial wise according to the kind of I know the folder number 3 is not there and the numbers are missing, but I basically sort of either delete collections according to my need. But mostly, this is the gist, right? I have various folders categorized according to the research project that I'm handling. It could be a dissertation, it could be a paper, doesn't matter, but it's usually related to the exact thing that I'm writing on, and that's generally the folder that I refer to when I'm doing my referencing in Google Docs or MS Word. So basically, every time that I come across something and I want to read it, or like I have to read it, I have to go through it before I decide to categorize it somewhere, I always save it in the to read folder. And I have always basically a folder on resources for the kind of research that I'm doing. For example, if I'm doing a critical appraisal, I have already saved web pages as well as you know journal articles that sort of tell you how to go about a specific method of research design, and let's say I've even information on systematic reviews and things like that. This is sort of a folder that I keep on building from time to time. I generally do not need to like refer back to it, but sometimes I do. So this is on my top list. Then I have multiple folders. Sometimes I categorize literature according to the geographical context, if that's what a particular piece of sort of research demands it. So this was a research on passive solar heated buildings in the Himalayan region, specifically in India. So I have divided it according to the different Indian states, all the literature that I could find. So Himachal, J&K, Ladakh, UT, some miscellaneous literature, the northeastern states, then the country-wise, like which could be relevant in other high altitude and cold climate regions. Plus, I have information that I have these list other research as well that I'm yet to categorize. So once I go through it, through the abstract or even the full text, I can just drop it to the relevant folder. Then there is also a way in which I categorize literature according to thematic areas. For example, in this master list that I've prepared, this was basically like a background information when I first got into the project. So every time I came across literature, I just categorized it according to the thematic, according to the subject that it touched on. So I have literature on simulation, building standards, performance assessment, thermal assessment, comfort, vernacular architecture, and so on. And you can use a similar method even if you're from a different field. Then, so these all are individual research papers, you could say, that I'm working on. Like maybe not this one, but this is a research paper. This is a potential research paper. This one is a research paper and things like that. And this is basically another background research that I was doing. So then I have another folder called citations. So sometimes you need to validate or use some information, but that's not directly related to maybe you needed to provide some context or some background when you're writing. So and that this is literature that you don't usually read, but maybe it's just like a specific aspect of the literature you require to showcase in your research paper. So that's mostly all of that kind of literature. Then in the last folder, I always have an archive where it holds all of my old work. So like work that I did as a research assistant, my semester work, some other academic and professional work. Then I also have my college dissertation, where I basically categorize the literature based on how the methodology that I adapted. So mine was a case study based approach. So I basically, all the case study literature I found, I divided them into relevant folders. It's not a lot of literature. I could have done it all in one folder and just put on a tag, but I just thought that this is a lot more convenient for me. So I went ahead with that. Then I had some primary literature in which I categorized it according to the sections of my dissertation paper and all the relevant literature that is, directly specific to that particular section, and basically some uh, overview. Then there's also an unsorted literature. This again is sort of the kind of literature that I cited, but I did not directly take a lot from it in my paper. But it was important to set the background, or maybe perhaps provide examples and things like that. And then there's some literature on my dissertation topic and the methodologies and things like that. So yeah, that is. Then there are some unopened or like potential projects that I never really got to do, but I still have them saved just in case I need to revisit them at a later point. And yeah, that's basically how I categorize my literature. Recently, I've been sort of experimenting with tags. So like if I go to my library and I have something saved as bioclimatic architecture, it works great, but you know, it's a little limited in the sense that the same tags don't always work, even if I'm adding tags to this page, unless they are, saved as exported as annotations. It's really of no use to me because then it's not really searchable for me. So it's something that I'm still trying to work with. But basically, this is exactly how I organize my files. And the next video I'll do will be on how I take notes on Zotero and use it for my, like, basically research writing and paper writing. Thanks for joining in. I hope this helps, and I'll see you in my next video.